To me, Global Reach Out is inspiring.
It's connecting with God, reaching out to the world, and impacting life.
The stories that shared is so personal and it deeply impacted me.
Global Reach Out to me is reach out to the truth.
Connecting hearts, connecting lives. You're listening to Global Reach Out.
Hello friends, a very warm welcome to Global Reach Out. And thank you for staying with us on this series called Candle in the Dark. And today, let's hear about another missionary called Ching. Ching and her husband, Ginay Tang, were married in 1981 in a small village in northeast India. Immediately after, they served together in cross-cultural ministry with OMF, or Overseas Mission Fellowship International. Their ministry took them from India to Thailand and to the Philippines. When Thang turned 70 years old, they had altogether served 15 years in their church in India and 30 years with OMF. The couple is now serving with SIM East Asia and based in Guwahati, Northeast India. They have 2 children, a son and daughter. Their son Kup is also in ministry work with OMF International. You will often hear fellow believers say, God will provide, as you take that first step of obedience to God's call to cross-cultural ministry. But until you experience it firsthand, you may never fully understand the depth of His faithfulness. 1 Thessalonians 5:24 sums up my experience of a provider God in all my years of service and is embedded in my heart. The one who calls you is faithful, and He will do it. From the moment I committed to serving God as a missionary, I have personally witnessed and experienced God's provision every step of the way. Providing for our children's education is just one of the many examples of God's overwhelming faithfulness as He journeyed with me and my husband to foreign lands. We had arrived in Bangkok, Thailand on 3rd March 1989 by train from Singapore. Our son Kup was 5 years old and our daughter Nem 3 years old. Since Kup was ready for Chifu school the following year, we knew that we had to prepare him for it since he spoke little English. Chifu School is an OMF school that caters for missionaries' kids and is located at Cameron Highlands in Malaysia. In the meantime, we thought enrolling him in an English-speaking kindergarten in Thailand was an ideal solution. Unfortunately, all the English kindergartens in Bangkok were privately run and thus expensive. Government schools were more affordable, but classes were conducted in Thai. We had no choice but to enroll him at a private school. We were told to pay the fees upfront to ensure him a place. Since our coffers were empty, we turned to God for help. One afternoon, on our way to a prayer meeting at the mission home with Ron, our missionary friend from Canada, Thang was surprised when Ron suddenly asked, "Do you need money?" Thang answered, "Sure, I need it because I need to admit my son to a kindergarten." When they arrived at the mission home, Ron pulled out some cash from his pocket and handed it to Thang. The amount was 5,000 baht, which was exactly what was needed for Kup's admission to the kindergarten. Ron did not know how much we needed, but God had prepared him to give this amount for our son's schooling. Indeed, God who calls us is faithful. The year after, it was Nem's turn for admission to the kindergarten. The lower admission fees of 4,000 baht were a discounted rate for a second child to the same school. Needless to say, we were short of funds. We asked God to provide once again. One morning, Thang was at the mission home to collect mail. In those days, communication was by snail mail. In an envelope addressed to us was a love gift of 4,000 baht from an unknown donor. It was again the exact sum we needed for our daughter's admission to the kindergarten. The one who called us met our need once more in a timely manner. In August 1990, Coop was ready for boarding school in Malaysia. We took a train from Bangkok to get there. At the Thai border, some uniformed personnel boarded the train to explain that Indian citizens crossing the Thai border were At the Thai border, some uniformed personnel boarded the train to explain that Indian citizens crossing the Thai border were required to pay $500. If we were to refuse, we would be barred from crossing the border despite our Malaysian visas. We did not have $500 on hand and prayed that God would help us resolve the matter. When we were asked to meet the official at the border office, we became anxious because the train was about to depart within a few minutes. Still, we reckoned we would be able to make it back on time if we were to hurry. But taking our 2 young children and luggage with us would definitely slow us down. Noticing our dilemma, 2 Buddhist priests who sat opposite us said, "You go meet the official. We will take care of your luggage and your kids." We thanked them before hurrying off and were relieved when the officer released us briskly without imposing any fines. God provided 2 Buddhist priests to take care of our kids and ensured that we crossed the Thai border safely without further incident. When our children were ready for college education, God opened the door for them to attend Biola University in the USA. Although we would have liked for them to enroll at Indian colleges, the different educational system they underwent in high school at the Faith Academy in the Philippines where we were serving made that impossible. But we did not have the means to support them for a tertiary education in the States. Yet, God provided them both with college scholarships, jobs at the university library, and love gifts from churches and individuals. Both finished their college degrees without the burden of hefty loans. People have often expressed surprise that we could afford their college education in the United States. Little did they know we were just as amazed at how God provided and relieved us of any financial anxiety. God who calls us is faithful in providing for our children's education, and not just their basic education. Our children also finished their MA degrees in the USA. Indeed, our God is faithful, and His faithfulness is as steady today as it was in all those years that we spent in the field serving Him. We will close here today. Please stay tuned with Global Reach Out, and let's meet again next week. Have a great week ahead. Goodbye.
The program is proudly presented by Global Reach Out. We welcome you to share our live enriching webcasts with family and friends through our website, global-reachout.org. Let's reach out to bless more lives together.